latest headline news, I'm Marilyn Ringo, sitting in for David Goodnow. Prospects are still uncertain for an agreement to end the war in Bosnia. Near Dayton, Ohio, exhausted negotiators are spending their second consecutive late night at the bargaining table. U.S. officials say they expect to make an announcement about the success or failure of the talks sometime Tuesday. At last report, Secretary of State Warren Christopher was pushing for a comprehensive agreement. But sources from all three sides are suggesting a partial accord may have to suffice, leaving sticky territorial issues to be decided at another round of talks. Pentagon sources tell CNN plans for sending U.S. troops to Bosnia would be set in motion immediately if a peace agreement is reached. Within a week of an initialing ceremony, 1,500 U.S. troops would move into Hungary to pave the way for NATO peacekeeping forces. And 200 U.S. soldiers would be stationed in Sarajevo and Tuzla to set up headquarters for the peacekeeping operation. Depending on various factors, 20,000 U.S. troops and as many as 3,000 reservists could participate in the planned NATO peacekeeping force. President Clinton signed an emergency spending bill Monday that will keep the federal government running until December 15th. The compromise reached Sunday buys the White House and congressional Republicans time to work out a bipartisan plan for balancing the budget by the year 2002. In exchange for committing to the GOP time frame, the president received assurances that Congress would protect Medicare, education, and other social programs.
One of the things the president stressed today is that we shouldn't gloat over the agreement that was reached right now. It was the first time that the Republican leadership in Congress did acknowledge the president's priorities, and the president also instructed the staff not to make too much of the polls that show us doing very well.
American people know that their children are being cheated by politicians who simply charge more and more money. Now, I want to emphasize that we are at a true turning point, and as John Boehner put it correctly, we have the potential to give our children a tremendous Christmas present in the form of a balanced budget. But no one should kid themselves. This job is not done.
And the compromise cleared the way for national parks and monuments to reopen Monday. In Philadelphia, staff returned to the Liberty Bell for the first time since six-day government shutdown. Anthony Collins has more on the first day back at work and play at national facilities.
The government is back in business, and that's good news for tourists who were afraid they wouldn't be able to see the sights.
We are kind of disappointed because that's all about New York, the statue, so we're glad we're being able to come today.
At the Grand Canyon, the wonders of nature are once again on full display.
We didn't think we were going to get to do this, and we're kind of glad to see that it's open.
Also open again are the popular monuments in Washington. At passport offices, some travelers were still talking about last week's shutdown.
I'm annoyed. I've missed several days in Germany with a meeting with my company that I was supposed to have already attended.
Okay.
Passport office workers who normally issue 22,000 passports a day now have to play catch-up.
We're looking at basically 4 days of backlog. We haven't received any mail since Monday, so now we're going to be swamped.
During the shutdown, the Social Security Administration provided only emergency services. Now it's back in full swing.
Yes, you can do this today. Last week, when government was shut down, you would not have been able to.
Last week, the office couldn't process 120,000 new applications for things like Medicare.
We also had to put our 800 number on an answering machine and not serve the customers through this 800 number. So we are missing about 1 million calls.
Well, I'm sure they weren't happy, but nobody was happy.
Some government workers said being furloughed was boring.
I'm glad I'm back. There's only so much TV you can watch.
Throughout the government, workers were glad to be back.
Good to see you. Nice to be back.
The National Gallery's doors are open again for some 200,000 visitors a week.
We went to the White House yesterday and the Capitol, and we couldn't do anything. It was terrible. And so today we're tickled to death.
The back-to-work euphoria may not last long. If there's no budget deal by mid-December, the government could shut down again. But for the time being, at least, it's business as usual for Uncle Sam. Anthony Collins, CNN, Washington.
Kansas Senator Nancy Kassebaum confirmed Monday she will not seek re-election. She will finish her third term, which ends in January 1997. Kassebaum, a Republican, this year became the first woman to chair the Senate Labor and Human Resources Committee. At age 63, she says she wants to spend more time with her family and be a grandmother. A federal judge has ruled that portions of California's Proposition 187 are unconstitutional. California voters approved the measure last year. It denies public education, social services, and non-emergency